Welcome to Holistic Health is Hot, where your journey to sculpting your dream body meets holistic health. I'm your host, Ashley Roberts. Here, we're going to chat about mindset hacks that have completely transformed my life and dive deep into nutrition and movement that will help transform yours. We're going to get into the intense connection between mind, body, and soul so you can glow from the inside out. Let's get into it. And remember, holistic health is hot. Welcome back to another episode of Holistic Health is Hot. I feel like I say this every time, but I'm really excited to get into this episode today because this is something that has just kind of been coming up for me in the last probably 6 months, but I just started understanding what was going on. So we're talking all things masculine and feminine energies. First, we're going to talk about why this is coming up for me so much right now, what actually is masculine and feminine energy, and how we can use it for planning and time management, workout routines, eating habits, and just daily life. Let's do it. Okay, I had a heart-to-heart recently with my mentor, Samantha Daly. She's the shit if you don't know who she is. She literally blew my mind. I've been struggling with structure and discipline for a really long time. Honestly, the past 6 months. And it's frustrating to me because I think about the old me, not the old me, but a year ago where I was freaking disciplined. I literally was on it. I'm waking up at 5 a.m., journaling, meditating, going to the gym, doing all the, literally just so structured. And then all of a sudden I'm what's going on with me? Why can I not get into this structure like I used to? And she explained to me, she was like, you have a fear of discipline right now. And I was like, why do I have a fear of discipline? And she's like, you were on that side of things where you had discipline, you were in your masculine, you had structure, routine, everything had a process, and you burned yourself out. And you burned yourself out so bad that you swung all the way to the other side of the pendulum and we're in the feminine, which is creativity, fluidity, complete opposite of masculine. And you're over here trying so hard to not get back to that masculine because it's like when you touch a hot stove, you learn really fast not to do it again. So you have this fear of getting back over to that side of that masculine energy. And I was like, holy shit, my mind is blown. That makes so much sense. And she actually explained this analogy that I think is perfect and it makes so much sense. It just gave me so much clarity. So I want to share it with you, which is why I even, decided to make an episode on this. And because it's just coming up for me so much and it makes so much sense to me. Think about a glass of water. The glass represents structure and discipline, which is the masculine energy, while the water symbolizes creativity, fluidity, which is your feminine energy. If you just have the glass, you just have structure and emptiness, essentially like an empty cup where you just feel empty on the inside. And if you just have the water, you are all over the place. It's chaos. You're confused. You don't know which way to go. Everything's just everywhere. And so you need both the glass, the masculine, and the water, the feminine energy, to actually live in true harmony. And so I just thought that was such a great analogy to describe. And I feel like that has really just come into fruition so much with my own personal life, also coaching clients, because so often there is structure and rigidity. I keep wanting to say that, and I don't know if it's a word, just rigid structure. And that feels constricting to me, and I hate it. I hate the masculine energy sometimes of, when I think about the fitness world, I think of macros, exact workouts, all this structure without the fluidity. And so you need both. You need the structure and the discipline, but you also need space to breathe and the creativity and just allow yourself to feel how you need to feel. And I think the fitness world could use a little bit more feminine energy. So I love the combination of both. I think is so powerful. That's why we're going to chat about this today, because it's been really coming up for me. And I think it'd be helpful for you to also hear this too, because people go through this at some point in their life. And I was talking to Sam about this too, where instead of feeling frustrated that it's happened, be grateful that you've already passed it, because some people don't even go through this until they're 50 and they're like, holy shit, I could have been so much better as a human, a mom, a wife, a whatever, a business owner. I could have been so much better if I understood this earlier on. So being grateful that it has happened, and I am very grateful, but I'm glad it's over. And now that I'm actually understanding this. So let's talk about what masculine and feminine energy actually is. So these energies are viewed as universal dynamics present in individuals regardless of gender. Obviously, this is energy. It has nothing to do with if you are actually a male or female. And they're actually fundamental forces or qualities inherent in human nature. It's really important to distinguish these energies from gender stereotypes because they're not about biological sex. Like I said, they're really about psychological and behavioral characteristics that exist in a spectrum with each person. And I'm one of those people truly that I feel like I do have a lot of masculine energy because I did for a while love structure and routine and, motivation, like being so just like dedicated. But, after doing that for years and years, I burned myself out. So masculine energy, it's pretty much linked to, taking action, making decisions. Again, structure. Masculine energy favors structure, organization, logical thinking. It's part of us that likes to, plan, strategize, arrange our lives in like a very systematic way. And don't get me wrong, I love those parts of me. I think that's really important. Also, another characteristic is like strength and assertiveness, both physical and mental. It involves standing up for yourself, showing confidence, and being direct in communication. Now let's talk about characteristics of feminine energy. Intuition and creativity. Feminine energy is deeply connected to intuition, the inner knowing, that gut feeling. I just did a whole podcast episode on this, episode 8. So go ahead and listen to that if you want more information on intuition. But it also is about creativity, imagination, just like innovative thinking outside the box, which is completely opposite of masculine energy. It's also so much more emotional and nurturing. So much more in tune with emotions and feelings, and it emphasizes empathy, compassion, not only with others, but towards yourself as well. And it's also another characteristic is unlike doing, like action taking with the masculine, it's more about being. And it values experiencing life fully, living in the present moment, and connecting with others on an emotional level. This is a piece that I feel like I have been missing for a long time. When I get my heart set on a goal that I want to accomplish, I don't think about anything other than accomplishing that goal. And I think in 2021, when I was going through a breakup, and I just said, fuck it to my goals. And I just focused on being. And I was having so much fun, like trying new things, like snowboarding, going wake surfing. Like I was just living life. But after a while, like that started to feel a little empty for me because I was like, what am I doing here? Like I have no goals. Like I feel lost in life. And then right after that, I went into my masculine where I just had structure, rigidity, goals, building my business. It was hard for me to figure out this balance. And this is where it's kind of all coming into play, and we'll talk about it now. But hopefully that's really helpful to kind of understand the difference between masculine and feminine energy. And like I said, it's so important to balance both. Having both gives you so much balance and such a well-rounded life. And sometimes it's so hard. People are like, oh, be balanced. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? I think being balanced is having a combination of structure and organization, but also living in tune with what your body needs and having joy, doing things that light you up. So both are very, very important for different reasons. Okay, so now let's talk about masculine and feminine energies in time management and planning. Let's talk about masculine first. So creating structure and setting goals. This is all great. Action, direction, amazing. You can help create structured plans and goals. I have a whole Notion template that I look at with my goals. Eric actually created it. He calls it his second brain. I call it like my life planner. And it has all the things. It has personal, it has business, it has client, it has everything all in one. And that structure is great. And that is very masculine energy. Also like organization, as well as discipline and consistency with actually getting the shit done you say you're going to, like following through a plan. This is all very masculine energy, which is amazing for, planning and time management. But now let's talk about the role of feminine energy with planning. And what feminine energy does is it brings in that flexibility piece, that creativity piece. I know for me, when I have a goal and I'm trying to accomplish it and I am like, okay, I have to do this at this time, everything's so structured, I lose that creativity piece. And that's something that I've really struggled with in my actual content is how do I have structure to where I know I'm going to get my shit done and post every day or 5 times a week or whatever it may be, but do it in a way that like my creativity is still flowing. And that's something I'm still figuring out. But it's important to have both for planning and time management because you'll burn yourself out if not. Also talking about feminine energy, it gives you that adaptability and emotional well-being. It recognizes that sometimes you don't have a full bucket to actually pour into. Sometimes your bucket's a little bit empty, so you might not have as much energy and you might not have as much drive, and listening and tuning in with that so you know when to kind of press on the brakes a little bit. Like if you're feeling so overwhelmed, instead of pushing through and being like, no, gotta get this last thing done, giving yourself 5 minutes of space to be like, okay, I'm just gonna reset myself And then you go back and end up doing the task quicker and more efficiently than before. Like I said, it really gives you a creative approach too. So often if we're just like, okay, gotta get this thing done, gotta sit here, you lose that creativity and that thinking. And so if you give yourself that space and time, you are so much more likely to be able to do it in a better, more creative way that feels good to you. Okay, how to actually balance both for planning. Combine structure and flexibility. Plan your week with clear, set goals and tasks, masculine energy, but also allow the space for spontaneous activities, fun hobbies, dinners with your friends, dinners with your girlfriends, walks. Like, make sure you're getting your tasks done, but leave space in the day so you can actually have fun to do the things that feel good to you and give yourself the space to be creative and, live in that balance of both masculine and feminine energies. So I'll use an example for exercise. So for example, let's just say you're planning your week. Okay, actually, this is a good example of right now, I have a morning routine. I used to be so strict on like, okay, I have to do my morning routine and it has to be this 10-step process. And now what I do, I use a combination of masculine and feminine energy. So I'm like, okay, every morning I'm doing my morning routine. That's the masculine. Every single day. That morning routine looks different depending on how I feel. I have a list of like 5-10 things that I can do in the morning to make me feel good and set myself up for success for the day. And I get to choose the morning of. So if I wake up and I'm like, oh, I want to do all the things. I'm going to have my lemon water. I'm going to have my celery juice. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to walk. I'm going to do all the things. That's great if that's what I feel like. On the other side, if I wake up and I'm like, I feel like I don't have time, like if I do my whole 10-step routine, it's going to stress me out. Like I'm only feeling like I have the energy to maybe do a meditation and have my celery juice and that's it. Great. I do that. And the thing about it is I have the structure of masculine energy of actually having that every single day, but I'm giving myself that fluidity of feminine energy and allowing myself to feel and do what works best for me in that moment. Let's talk about workout routines with masculine and feminine energy. This is where I sometimes have beef with the fitness world because structure and routine and discipline is amazing. But especially as females, we have different phases of our cycle where we have different energy levels. And I've talked about cycle syncing multiple times, but masculine energy of workouts is, structure, routine, and discipline, which again, all great. But sometimes we as females are on a period and we have low to no energy. And that's a time when you shouldn't push through and do that HIIT workout. And I'm not saying you shouldn't move your body, but maybe instead of doing that intense workout, you listen to your energy levels and you go for a walk instead. So then you can still have that masculine energy of, yes, I'm still making the commitments to myself. I'm still taking action, but I'm using my feminine energy and doing it in a way that actually feels good to me. And I think it's important too, especially if you're just starting off in your fitness journey, it's important to build the habit of doing the workout or doing whatever the habit is, but do the habit in a way that feels good to you. Because if you are like, oh, I'm on my period, I'm just not going to work out, you're building the habit of not working out. But if you can build the habit of like, even if you're on your period and you don't have energy, but you're just going to go for a 10-minute walk, that's still building that habit of, I'm going to move my body today. I'm working out in some way. So with workouts and movement, I think that's my take on masculine and feminine energy. Always do the workout, but do the workout in a way that feels good to you. And even so, like, let's just say you have a workout plan and you thought you were going to have an hour to go to the gym, but you only have 30 minutes. Instead of baying off, fuck it, I'm just going to not do anything. Maybe go to the gym and do a shorter workout. Just go for a walk at home, like whatever it is, but build the habit of actually doing the workout. Because if it comes down to it, you're going to start building the habit of not doing the workout. And it's about, again, mixing the masculine and feminine, mixing the actually doing the workout and the masculine with the I'm going to do the type of workout that feels good to me, feminine. So, and I think that's something that, again, is a great way to keep building the habit of moving your body, but doing it in a way that feels good to you. If you continue to push yourself through workouts that are not feeling good to you, or you're just pushing through on days when you just can't, you're going to burn yourself out. That's exactly what happens is you push too hard and you're masculine and you're like, go, go, go. You burn yourself out. And then it's so much harder to get back on track when you fall off with a burnout. But if you can manage that and be like, oh, like I'm going to listen to my body. I'm still going to work out today, but instead of doing a HIIT workout, I'm going to do maybe some lower intensity workouts. Then do that. Next, let's talk about eating. Who doesn't love eating, right? Okay, masculine and feminine energy. The role of masculine in structured eating plans, that is to me like meal plans, macro tracking, planning ahead, calculating what your body needs, prepping everything. You get the picture. That's all masculine energy. Feminine is intuitive eating, listening to your body, hunger and fullness cues. Yeah, listening, tuning in, recognizes the emotional connection to food, flexible eating. Yeah, really just listening to your body. And I think that is the end goal, listening to your body. But also, especially if you're trying to lose weight, especially if you have a body goal, it's so important to have a combination of both, because let's just say, you're trying to lose weight and you're like, oh, I'm just going to intuitively eat. Sometimes your intuition might lead you wrong, especially if you have done a million diets. You've tried every single fad diet you can possibly think of. You've, binged, you've restricted. You are not in tune with your body, so you can't just truly rely and listen to what's going on. But on the other side of things, sometimes macro tracking and being too rigid with nutrition can also feel boring or just too much. So I think there's so many ways that you can do it, but I like structured intuitive eating as an approach, which combines the masculine and the feminine energies. It combines, tracking, but in a way that feels good with a little bit more flexibility. So again, I love intuitive eating and I do think it's the end goal, but I've talked about this a couple times, but I do think that it's important to also have structure because, sometimes our body's telling us to eat 20 cookies and I don't think that's actually what our body needs or wants. That's a craving and it's important to figure out where that's coming from, which is a whole other topic. But anyways, at the end of the day, it's so important to listen to both for nutrition, for everything. Masculine and feminine energy you can put into every part of life, and listening to both is important. So I think that learning to balance both is how you actually live a truly balanced, holistic life. Other kind of real life scenarios is, setting boundaries. That's masculine. Just talking about like in relationships. One, masculine energy. Setting boundaries is so important. You can't have a very good relationship if someone's walking all over you. You have to set your own personal boundaries. That's in the masculine. But in the feminine, it's also important to nurture and have empathy and communicate and have that emotional connection to somebody else. Again, I truly believe that if you can have both masculine and feminine energy in every single thing that you do, you are going to feel so much balance and so much more even. Maybe at work, setting goals, staying organized, that stuff is all amazing. But also being assertive when you need to, like if you're running a team, like that's all great. But also having that feminine energy of like connection and creativity, problem solving really just helps the enjoyment of work, as well as helps with, effective communication. Again, this can be, duplicated into any part of your life, and both are equally important. Like I said, this can really be put into every area of your life, and it's important to find your balance of both. And if you're ever feeling you're about to hit a wall, you're feeling so unmotivated, look at your masculine and feminine energies. What's going on with each situation? I know how frustrating it can be to feel burnt out and not understand why. Probably too much in your masculine. You need some of that feminine energy in there, girly. So I hope this was helpful. It's truly something that has blown my mind recently, and I wanted to share that with you guys because I think it's an important piece. It's like that thing. Everyone talks about balance, but like, what the fuck is balance? Balance is balancing your masculine and feminine energy. And if you want to chat about this or have any other questions, shoot me a message on Instagram at AshleyRobotsFit. Thank you so much for listening. Love you all.